Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Wednesday. I can't believe it's June already. June 1st. We are here live. It is Destination Health Day. Phones are already starting to light up. So if you want to jump in, I would do it quickly. 855-950-3835 is the number to join us. We'll get to those calls in just a little bit. I had a bunch of stuff here I wanted to talk about. Nothing major, some odds and ends. I may cover a couple things, then get to some calls. Maybe I'll come back to some of this. One of the things I'm working on, big picture, kind of going back to the basics. When we look at the health issues we're facing today, most of them fall into three major groups. We see metabolic issues, and this is, I would say, our biggest problem. Metabolic issues, metabolic diseases like metabolic syndrome, which really kind of covers the whole gamut of what happens when our metabolism gets out of whack. And our metabolism is basically the system of how our body uses energy. How our body converts food to energy is the metabolism. And the reason we have so many metabolic issues is because we are fueling our bodies with the wrong fuel, with the wrong source of energy. We are fueling our bodies 100% of the time with carbohydrates, which is sugar and starch. We really should be fueling our body most of the time with good, healthy fats. That's the big problem, and metabolic syndrome covers all of the big stuff that will kill you slowly. Diabetes, heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, all of those issues which ultimately end up leading to dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. All of those numbers are through the roof. All of those things are very common now, not normal, but they're all very common, and it's strictly due to the overconsumption of carbohydrates. So the easiest way we fix a metabolic problem is with a low-carb diet of some sort. And the lower carb, the better. That's really what it comes down to. Is there some magic number of carbs you should be eating? No, because carbs are not necessary. We have to have fat, we have to have protein. Of the three macronutrients, actually there are four macronutrients, water counts. If we count all four, three of them are really important. You have to have water or you die. You have to have fat or you die. You have to have protein or you die. You don't have to have carbohydrates. They exist in food, they exist in vegetables, they do exist in foods that are good for us. But when we're talking about a metabolic condition, now the statistic is that 30% of teenagers already have metabolic conditions as teenagers. When we're talking about metabolic conditions, low carb is the way you fix it. The lower carb, the faster it gets fixed. The lowest carb we can eat is carnivore. Just animal products. You'll get very, very few carbs in your diet. Most of those are going to come from dairy, because most animal products just don't have any carbohydrates. The second big group we have are autoimmune conditions. And the last time I checked, there are over 100. I don't know if there's some official list somewhere. We keep discovering new autoimmune conditions, and we also figure out that conditions that we never realized were autoimmune are. Autoimmune is when our own immune system attacks our body and creates the problem. And it can attack different parts of our body depending on which autoimmune condition you get, but they're basically all the same. The mechanism is all the same. It's your own immune system attacking your body. If your immune system attacks your joints, that could be rheumatoid arthritis. If it attacks your thyroid, it could be several thyroid diseases that are autoimmune. It can attack your skin. There are several skin conditions that are autoimmune. The third area, which is digestive, can also be autoimmune. We see almost everybody has digestive issues because our food supply is so bad, but some of the digestive issues are also autoimmune. UC and things like that. It is our own immune system attacking our body. Of these two, autoimmune and digestive, remember metabolic was it's all about carbohydrates. The fewer carbohydrates you eat, the faster you can fix your metabolism. These other two, autoimmune and digestive, they really seem to be aggravated by plants. You know, there's, I actually did a show, the product that you see advertised a lot. They must spend a fortune on advertising. It's a supplement called Balance of Nature. And it's really just freeze-dried fruits and vegetables. That's really all it is. I did a show about it, why it's not organic. Really, I'm shocked by that. Nobody seems to question that. In one of the commercials, the reason I brought it up, in one of the commercials, one of the people giving a testimonial says, there's never going to be a dispute about whether fruits or vegetables are healthy. That's what he says. There's never going to be a dispute about whether fruits and vegetables are healthy or not. That's the attitude that we've taken about fruits and vegetables, and it's been pounded into our head forever that they're just healthy. And that's not true. So when he says there will never be a debate, he's wrong. There already is a debate about whether or not fruits or vegetables are healthy, how much of them we should be eating. I can tell you if you have a metabolic condition, you shouldn't be eating any fruit, none whatsoever. Vegetables, yeah, they can be part of our diet. Are they really that healthy? They're certainly not the best source of nutrients like we've been told, but could they have problems? And they absolutely can have problems. And most of our autoimmune conditions are triggered originally by some sort of a plant. Gluten is a big one, obviously, gluten and gliadin, the proteins. We have oxalates, we have phytates, we have lectins. There are lots of things in plants that are not really good for our body. They aggravate things in our body, and many of them are what start the autoimmune conditions. I have talked about this in the past, pure speculation on my part, but women get autoimmune conditions a lot more than men. And I believe it's because women in general tend to eat more plants and men tend to eat more meat. That just is in general. Women tend to avoid fat more than men do. And I think because of those things, women tend to end up eating more plants, more salads, more smoothies, more fruit and veggies. And it's not necessarily healthy. In fact, when we look historically, it's very possible that plant food was just a way to fill in when we didn't have enough animal food. The more I read, the more I research, the more I think about this, I think that's probably true, that most human beings on the planet really lived on animal products and plant food was just to fill in. And now we eat an awful lot of plant food, and now we want to make meat out of plants and chemicals and other kind of stuff. I was going to talk about one of the specific problems, oxalate dumping. I had a question about it a couple weeks ago, and I had never heard the term. And interesting enough, the woman who really is kind of responsible for the term or uses it a lot and is well known for it, Sally Norton. I actually had Sally on the show a couple of years ago. I met her at the Mindshare Summit. Spent about 2 hours talking to her at that summit. Really interesting. She was one of the first women I had met that was really pushing carnivore heavy. And it was because of all of the chemical defenses that are in plants. But her specialty was oxalates. Now, when I talked to her, I don't know if she wasn't talking about this yet or she hadn't discovered it, but there's this term oxalate dumping. I had never heard it. She's done a lot of the research into this. Now, it's one of those things not totally proven, still kind of a lot of speculation around it, but it actually makes sense. And the theory is that when we go to a low oxalate diet and we eliminate a lot of the oxalates that we have been eating most of our life, that our body, for some reason, starts to dump the oxalates that it's stored. And the body can store oxalates in almost any tissue. So if this is true, if this oxalate dumping is a thing, when your body starts to dump the oxalates, it's dumping out of all kinds of tissue, so you can end up with all kinds of weird symptoms. But the biggest one we see is gout-like symptoms that can be caused by oxalate crystals, almost identical to the way uric acid can crystallize, cause pain in your joints. So oxalate dumping, we may be talking more about that in the future. Also, before we get to the calls, questions are coming in. Phone lines are lighting up. Keep them coming. 855-950-3835. We have got a new line of food in the store. Our mission right now in the store is to really get a lot of the very best food products that work for drivers, that work in the truck, that are shelf-stable, that don't need refrigeration, and yet we want the very best quality and the highest nutrition. Now, I've talked about our seafood provider. We lost our seafood provider. Vital Choice got bought by, of all people, our company's 1-800-Flowers. What a weird combination. We were not able to negotiate a retailer agreement with them, so Lisa got busy and went out and found another company. It's one of those things that we wouldn't have made this change on our own. We would have stayed loyal to Vital Choice. We had a great relationship with them. But now that the change has happened, I'm really glad that it's happened. This new company is absolutely awesome. They have a couple different lines. So the company is Patagonia. So if you go to letstruck.com, look under Shop and Patagonia, and you will see I am working on recipes for each one of their food products, but they have some awesome stuff. Now, we brought in Patagonia to replace Vital Choice for seafood. But Patagonia also has some other products that I really like. They have some links, like beef jerky links, except they have bison and deer, venison. I guess there's this little deer that's on one of the Hawaiian islands, and it has no natural predators. I'm sure we took it there for some reason, and it's taken over the island because it has no natural predators. So now they're harvesting these deer and making beef sticks out of them. So got to try those. Now, I will tell you, these are really, really lean. This deer is really lean. So these are kind of drier and harder than most beef sticks, but sometimes I like that. They're really good. The bison is excellent. They also, and I've been looking for this, we have a couple vendors that we recommend, but we don't have anything in the store. Spice blends. I have totally changed the way I cook as far as herbs and spices go. You know, when we all get our first apartment, our first house, or get married or whatever, everybody seems to get, one of those standard spice racks with all of the spices all organized alphabetically, and 99% of them will still be in that spice rack 25 years from now. That seems to be kind of standard, and I've been through that. We buy all these spices, we almost never use them, and I use very few single spices anymore. one of the things I started doing was making my own blends. You know, it was just way too much trouble to try to remember which 6 herbs and spices. Just mix them all together, make a blend out of it, and then use it to make this dish. Then I started realizing there were some really good blends on the market. So now my spice rack drawer is almost all blends of some kind. Very, very few single spices. I still make a couple of my own blends, but I'm finding that there's just some really good stuff on the market right now, and Patagonia has some amazing spice blends. If you like chimichurri, if you've never tried chimichurri, you should try it. It's kind of an herb and oil and vinegar sauce. Goes really, really good with any meat that comes off the grill or the smoker. They have an excellent spice blend that makes chimichurri really easy to make. They also have a specific chili that they use called ají molido, and it has quickly become one of my favorite seasonings, and they use that in some of their blends. So you got to try their spice blends. Are really awesome. But the big thing is the seafood, and they have got awesome seafood. So all of this stuff that we had before, we have now. We just have even better varieties and options. So wild sockeye, we have lemon pepper wild sockeye. Now, I've said this before, I'm not wild about flavored foods like this. They usually tend to taste fake or overdone to me. This company nailed it. They absolutely, their lemon pepper salmon is so well seasoned. It's just awesome. They also have really good mackerel. So if salmon or tuna is a little too seafoody for you, you should try mackerel. It's a really small fish, excellent fat, and they're small so they don't have time to build up a lot of toxins. We want to eat really small fish. So these mackerel are excellent. They have smoked, they have roasted garlic, lemon caper, and Spanish paprika. Really, really good. Now, when we hear the word anchovies, people tend to get a little freaked out about anchovies. They think of those really, really fishy, salty things that sometimes people put on pizza. And most people think they don't like anchovies because of that. I actually do like anchovies on pizza. I don't know why it ever got started. Nobody ever seems to order it. I actually do like anchovies on pizza. But these anchovies are very different. I just said if tuna's a little too strong for you, you should try the mackerel. If mackerel's too strong for you, you should try the anchovies. They are really, really mild. They have Spanish roasted garlic, and they have lemon and olive white anchovies from Patagonia. We have them in the store. You got to try them. Here, if you are looking for a really substantial snack or even a meal, super easy, very highly nutritious. Get all of your omega-3s in one shot. All you have to do is open up a can of these anchovies, pour in a little hot sauce, and eat them with some grain-free crackers. Or open it up, dump it into a bowl, mix it with some kimchi. Just mash it together with some kimchi and then eat that with some grain-free crackers. Absolutely amazing. So I am working on recipes, actually. I'll give you a kind of a little sneak peek under the curtain. The lemon caper, I think that's the mackerel. Yeah, the lemon caper mackerel or the lemon olive white anchovy. So the cracker one is really simple. Open up any of these tins, whether it's the mackerel or the anchovies or the salmon, whatever it might be. I actually like mixing it with kimchi, and then we get the fermented part of our fermented carnivore. And you put in a little extra hot sauce if you want. And then just eat that with grain-free crackers. But the other recipe I'm working on, so each one of these products, I want to create like a signature dish for each product. So the lemon caper mackerel. Orzo is it's a pasta shape that's really small, almost like rice, but it's actually pasta, and they make a grain-free orzo. So there's a pretty classic dish where you use orzo and anchovies, and so I've kind of recreated that using the lemon caper mackerel and the orzo, and I make a really light butter lemon sauce and put over that. Really good. So we're going to start putting out those recipes here soon.
Nice. Well, how have you been? I haven't talked to you in a little while. I've been working crazy hours driving, so we just seem to miss each other. Has life been going good for you?
Yeah. Back at home, working on the garden. I was going to do a garden update, but we had a bunch of calls, so I figured I'd get to them first.
Right on. So here's my question for you. Kind of a weird one. And I think, I don't know. Let me throw it at you. So I bought Light Balance from you, and it's so weird. I started cramping, so I started taking the Light Balance. Well, let me rephrase that. So I got real clean. Like, I was eating super duper clean, and I started cramping. And I drink a lot of water, so I was probably depleting my minerals that way. So I was doing the Light Balance right as it says. I don't remember the specific ratio, but I was spot on, and I think it was a cap for so many ounces. And let me tell you, Kevin, can that cause you to cramp? Can Light Balance actually cause cramping?
Not through any mechanism I'm aware of. It doesn't mean it couldn't. I'm just not aware of any reason why it would.
Okay. Here's what I want to throw at you. I bought the Light Balance from you many months ago, and I used it. And for some reason, I stopped using it. And then I started using it again. And I started cramping bad. I mean, like, you're talking bend over, like your legs, your feet, your hand. It was brutal. And I'm almost wondering if that's why I tried calling you a week ago, and somehow it didn't go through. And I'm wondering if that's why I stopped using it the first time around. Does it need to build up into your body? I mean, educate me a little further.
No, and I'm not going to be able to educate you much because this has been one of our most consistent products. It's been a bestseller from the very beginning. It was one of the first problems we identified with keto. When people started eating keto, myself included, we started noticing more muscle cramping. And at first we just thought, okay, it's part of like the whole keto flu thing. Your body loses a lot of water when you first go into ketosis. When it loses that water, it also dumps the minerals. So we thought, okay, it's just this, beginning thing, so we need to add some minerals. And we went out and looked for mineral products. We found Light Balance. I really liked the formulation and everything about it, so we started testing it. And it is so consistent. It just seems to work every time. People start eating this way. And this is still one of those mysteries. We're not sure why, when people go to such a clean diet, why do we need to supplement minerals? But we do. We're not sure why yet, but we do, and it always works. So it's just one of those things that, we kind of set aside and say, I wish I could explain that. But I can't, but here's a simple fix, and it always works. So I have no idea why you might be experiencing that.
Well, I could be because I was doing the transition into the ketosis, and it seemed as though I went to grab that bottle, and my body was going to cramp no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I was just in for the ride until I passed it.
If you put one capful in 10 ounces of water, what does it taste like to you?
A little salty.
Okay. That's actually a sign that you may not need much. If it tasted neutral or sweet almost, that's usually a sign your body wants more of it. When you can start to taste the saltiness, that's usually a pretty good indicator that you don't need a lot of this. So if it tastes neutral or sweet, I tell people you need 2 caps a day. If it tastes a little salty, that's the right amount for you. but I have no idea other than some weird coincidence, and the only way to test that is to try it again.
Well, it's really just, I think I can probably, with just us talking it out, I think it's when I'm not eating as clean. Like I was eating really clean, and it took about 2 to 3 days of really eating clean till my body kicked in and I started cramping. And then it was a phase that went away.
That's about the time that your body might be dumping all the water.
Yeah, because I do go to the bathroom a lot.
Yep.
It's amazing. You would think as much as I go to the bathroom, as much as that water weight in that jug, you think I'd be losing all kinds of weight. But that's not a fact.
No.
Well, if we did, we'd lose a lot of weight quickly.
Yeah, it sounds like that may be what's going on. But the other thing, like I said, light balance is so consistent. This time on the road again, I didn't take enough with me. I knew I should have ordered some, and I kept putting it off, and I ran out. So I had like a week while I was waiting for some to get to me. And within 3 or 4 days of stopping the light balance in my coffee, I started having cramps in my feet.
Yeah, for sure. So you think maybe I should start doing it again or just do the capful in the 10 ounce? I was actually putting a capful, to tell you the truth. I was doing 2 capfuls in a 32 ounce, well, I probably put too much then, of water, but it was water with a little bit of ice in it. So it's probably 28 ounces of fluid. That's about right, I guess, the ratio, because it's 1 cap per 10 ounces. So I probably was a little rich, maybe.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe start off with just, and here's the thing, 2 caps in 10 ounces would be no different than 2 caps in 20. I mean, it's still 2 caps.
Okay, fair enough.
The amount is the amount. The only thing that changes is the more liquid you put it in, the more diluted it is, and you don't taste it. But it's so I would probably start back with 1 cap a day. If for some reason right after you start this, those cramps come back, that would be like the 3rd time, then I'm pretty sure we could say that is what's causing it. Now, I'd have to go try to figure out why, because I have no idea why, but I think I'd give it one more shot.
And I will. And you know how much I follow you and I believe in everything. I mean, you're a genius. I mean, there's so many people who swear by what you say, and us drivers out here, it's funny, I don't care where I'm at. I'm somewhere bullshitting with somebody, excuse my French, they know who you are. I believe in you. That's why I take your guidance seriously. But I am going to try it. I'm going to do it again tomorrow morning for the heck of it and see what happens.
Sounds
good. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been out of my system. And I will let you know. Let
me know. And if it happens, we'll go do some digging and we'll see if we can figure it out. But honestly, in the whole kind of paleo universe, paleo, keto, carnivore, supplementing with minerals is just kind of a given. I mean, almost everybody I know just tends to supplement with minerals when you eat this kind of diet. And it doesn't make sense, but it's just one of those things we haven't figured out yet. We'll keep working on it. Let's go to Kansas. Bob, welcome to the program.
Hey, it's interesting. You're talking about light balance, and you're talking about the different tastes we have in our mouth. I always felt like I'm drinking milk when I drink my light balance.
Really?
With water.
Huh.
It's the strangest thing, yeah.
That is
I always
weird.
have to look. I haven't drank milk in years, but I taste milk when I'm drinking my water with light balance in it. I don't drink ice in my water, and it's always just kind of weird. I always look down and
yeah.
Anyways.
Huh.
I was just curious. I might have missed it and stuff, but I've never heard you talk about cancer as a metabolic disease. And I ran across this in a couple different places. I was reading Good Calories, Bad Calories by Larry Taubes, and he kind of mentioned it just a little bit. And I watched a talk by a professor at Boston College, and he talked about it a little bit. And I came across this book. It's called Ravenous, and it's about this scientist in Germany.
Otto Warburg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a scientist that figured out that cancer cells are fermenters, and they rely totally on glucose in the body for their energy supply. And I was just curious, have you ever ran across this book?
Yeah, actually, I read it years ago. I've talked about it several times on the air. There is even, I've talked about this, there are certain cancers that one of the ways they test to try to find that cancer in the body is they feed the patient glucose, almost pure sugar, and they with a dye in it, and then they watch because it will go right to those cancer cells. Now, Otto Warburg figured this out a long, long time ago. And at the time, there was an argument, was cancer a metabolic disease or was it a genetic disease? And unfortunately, Otto Warburg lost the argument. And we started treating cancer a long time ago as though it was a genetic condition. We keep looking for what gene do you have that makes you more susceptible to this. And like almost everything else in the medical health related world, we got this completely wrong. Cancer is a metabolic disease. If you want to read another good book about the topic, read Jason Fung's The Cancer Code.
Okay. Yeah. I had not really heard that. I guess I missed it when you had talked about it. But I was just thrown back about this because, like you, I always thought it was passed on, through our genetics, and it seems like families get it in their blood, but it really has something to do with their way their body metabolizes sugars and stuff, and gets out of control. The story of this guy is kind of crazy too.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
It's very similar to the argument that happened in the 1950s on whether it was fat that was causing heart disease, which we ended up believing it was fat and cholesterol that causes heart disease. There was another scientist at the time, Judkin, I think, who said, no, that's not it at all. It's not fat causing all those metabolic problems. It's sugar. And he lost the argument. So we spent 50 years demonizing fat and eating low fat, and we see where that got us. And now we realize it is sugar that causes all these problems.
So is it industry that keeps pushing this back? Because it seems like we have figured this out so many times throughout history, but industry keeps pushing this cheap food at us, and it causes all these problems. And they're like, oh, no, look away. It's something else. Look this way. It's this over here. But it seems so crazy to demonize something as animal fat as what's killing us when it's clearly what we've evolved eating our whole life. And they want to create these brand new foods and feed them to us and say, here, this is what's healthy for you because it's engineered for us.
And it's profitable
for millions of years.
Right. Yeah. All their manufactured foods are very profitable. All natural food is just a commodity. I mean, for the most part, pork is pork. Beef is beef. It's kind of a commodity. Certainly the way you raise the animal can change that, and we're seeing a lot of that. But, food is just hyper competitive, and it's all marketing, and they market the food with the highest profit margin, all the garbage. And it's why we, as a people, have become so sick. And I don't see it getting better. I see it getting far worse.
So how do we change it, Kevin?
I don't know.
Is it just one person at a time?
I can't think of any other way. And even that's not easy. I mean, you've probably dealt with this. You start talking about, food to people and they shut down. I mean, we're tired of it. We're tired of being told what we should eat, and then it turns out we just keep getting sicker and sicker. Why would we keep listening to advice when the advice never works?
Oh my gosh, tell me about it, Kevin. I'm from Kansas, I mean, this is where all the wheat and corn is made.
Yeah.
And you start talking about, this stuff that people whose livelihoods depend on this, they will like, nuh-uh, buddy. You can stop that right now.
Yeah, the first year...
And I'm like, you're killing people.
The first year we announced that we were moving the CMC to Council Bluffs, Iowa. I got a call, and this guy went off on me. He was a hog farmer, and he also had a trucking company, and he did livestock, and he went off on me. You can't come to Iowa talking like that. This is pork country. I mean, he was serious, too. He actually threatened. He said he was going to get all of his livestock hauler friends, and they were going to circle the whole event center so he couldn't do the event.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the good fight, Kevin. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks for the call. Let's see. Let's head off this time to Arizona. Oh, hold on. There we go. Jeremy, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for taking my call and answering our questions. I'm just finishing our carnivore crust pizza, and I love that idea of adding mayo to the fermented, kraut, and maybe throw in some kimchi and got some fermented jicama, stuff like that.
There you go. So your carnivore crust pizza, is that the what's that recipe? Is that the pork rinds and chicken?
I think we just did. I heard that, and we might try some. But this comes out so well. I think it's cream cheese, egg, and no flowers this time. So I don't know if Tammy's sleeping, so I can't ask her. She's the one that does that. But that comes out fluffy, but yet not too fluffy. It's really good. I wouldn't. There's no need to change it. So yeah,
I'm actually shocked by some of these recipes. I know there's the recipe out there for chaffles, making waffles with a lot of cheese. I've seen that one. I haven't really tried that one. I kind of avoided these because they didn't sound all that great to me. And I had my substitutes. I had a pizza crust that worked really well, and I liked it. But I got that book, the Carnivore Code Cookbook, just because I thought, okay, how do you write a whole cookbook out of nothing but meat? But they did, and I thought, I'm going to try these. I am blown away by how neutral they are. Like, you would never guess that pizza crust is nothing but chicken, pork rinds, eggs, and cheese, all animal products. There's no flowers in there. There's no plants of any kind. It's bizarre how it comes out. You wouldn't think that was just meat. But then the other one, they make a waffle batter that is really just pork rinds and eggs. I mean, there's a couple a little bit of baking soda, I think, in there. And I thought, oh, come on, you can't make a waffle out of that. But you can. And it came out really good. And it's actually a neutral waffle, meaning you could put something savory over it or you could put something sweet over it.
What's your crust and pizza?
What's that?
Is it cream cheese or regular cheese? Sorry. So yeah, it's eggs and cream cheese. Kevin.
Hey, anyway, Tammy. Good morning.
Yeah. You said good morning. And the crust is awesome, and we put some Mexican spiced chicken. I think it's thighs, but it's ground, and it's and with the chicken hearts, it's a blend that we get from our butcher. It's pretty nice.
Oh yeah,
it's nice and But anyway, I wanted to ask your opinion and then ask a question.
Sure.
Okay, what's your opinion on your infrared grillers versus like lump charcoal for a steak or for chicken?
I can remember when the infrared grills first came out. It was quite a while back, and I couldn't really figure out what the whole take was on them. They never really caught on. I never bought one and tried it. If I'm going to cook outside, I want smoke. I want the real thing. So I'm either going to use a really good, clean lump charcoal, which if I'm using charcoal, I love lump, or I'm going to use wood on a smoker of some kind. For me, if I'm outside, I want some sort of fuel that creates a good smoke.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's what I was thinking too. I just didn't know if it was like for a steak, super easy and quick, but then I was thinking maybe there's not enough flavor, but so yeah.
You know, one of the
I get it.
One of the devices people may want to think about using, because now I know people have one. If I would have mentioned this device before we started talking about the yogurt, nobody would have known what I was talking about. The sous vide. I've had one for years and years.
Yeah.
It's an awesome way to cook a lot of things. And one of them that I just started playing around with, and I'm going to create a couple recipes. Starbucks made these famous. I haven't been in a Starbucks in years, but I guess Starbucks sells these things called sous vide egg bites. So they almost come out like little egg muffin kind of things. So that sounded really good. And I went and looked at the ingredient list from Starbucks. Oh, it is awful. I cannot believe all the garbage that goes into those things. It's just ridiculous, the ingredient list. But I looked at it and I thought, that's such a great idea. So, and you can even use the same little glass, 4 or 6 ounce glass yogurt jars. So just take eggs, cream cheese, and any other cheese you like, pepper jack, and there are some ratios, but it's kind of hard to mess this up. You can throw in sausage or bacon or whatever else you want. Just throw all this stuff into a blender. The eggs, the cheese, all that stuff. Blend it up. Pour it into the glass jars, put a lid on them, and put them in your sous vide water. 45 minutes to an hour at like 150 probably for eggs. And you've got like a little omelet in a jar. They come out amazing.
Yeah, I've been meaning to use the sous vide for a steak, kind of, where you get it nice and tender and then you sear it. I know you mentioned that, and I've heard about that, but Tammy's always using that sous vide for the yogurt. What's your opinion to make, like, if we could find a big container to put, I don't know, 8, 10 quarts in there, do you think one wand would handle that, or do you think that's kind of risking
when you look at the wands, the sous vide machines, they have a wattage rating, like there'll be so many watts. You just want to get one of the higher rated, and I believe it would handle up to 8 quarts.
Okay, 8 quarts. Okay. All right. Well, look at that. And so my question was, I wanted to know about, or if you could explain what's happening because I have one of my uncles, his blood sugar was off the charts, like 10 or something, but he's skinny. And so he's got it kind of under control now since we started talking. It's coming down, and then, but I was wondering what I know. I heard a little bit of last week's show, and I didn't get to just the beginning about blood sugar and the fat storage of it, and storing for energy when there's the glucose. But what happens? And then of course there's weight gain. What happens when what's going on when people are very high in blood sugar but they're still skinny?
I've never found a good explanation for this. I've read about it.
Okay.
It gets talked about, but I've never found a good explanation for why this happens. They have all of the other symptoms of somebody with metabolic disease or metabolic syndrome. Now, here's the thing. The diagnosis of metabolic syndrome requires 3 of the 5, basically, that they look at. One of them is obesity. But you could have 3 of the others and be skinny, and you still do have metabolic syndrome. So it's any 3 of those 5: blood sugar, blood pressure, weight, waist circumference, and high triglycerides. Any three of those five. But why somebody could have all of those others and not gain weight, I've never seen a good explanation for that.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. Well, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. All right. So it looks like we might... I have a couple other things I wanted to talk about. We might be wrapping this up early. I've got open lines right now, so if you want to jump in, I'll hang out here and answer any calls and questions you've got. I think coming up at, maybe we'll do it at 9. Let me check and see if we can get... Lauren in. I think we were going to do 9:30. I'm going to check now and see. Maybe we'll move to that early. But I will, like I said, I'll hang out. If you've got questions, jump in and join us. 855-950-3835. All right. Where do I want to jump back in? I've got a bunch of notes here. The oxalate dumping, I want to do... I'm probably going to do a show on that. Maybe I'll just do a recording of that. I may go back and look and see if Sally Norton has any new material there or not. Okay, looks like we are going to get Lauren in here at 9. It looks like we might be getting her in here soon. So we will move on to After Hours with Lauren and Kevin. That is coming up here in just a couple minutes. We'll do a case study. And I think we're going to talk about some things like leaky gut and autoimmune. I think we'll spend some time on that because I know that was part of the case study this week. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Minnesota. Sarah and Vic, welcome.
Hey, Kevin. I just wanted to check in with everybody on yogurt making.
Yes.
I had posted an article, but for people who haven't been on the page, Dr. Davis mentioned that sweet potato was especially fermentation friendly. So coconut milk, and I played around with sweet potato, and I found that what I liked best was to boil some sweet potato, drain it, and then blend in coconut milk until I got the desired consistency that I wanted. And then you just mix your bacteria in there and let it go for the specified temperature for each bacteria, but for 72 hours.
Really? Wow.
And yeah, it says 72 hours for either fruit puree or sweet potato, and then you don't have to put in any inulin or potato starch, obviously, because the sweet potato has enough of its own sugar. And if you taste that sweet potato coconut milk blend, you can taste the sweet potato. And as it ferments, you taste it later. At the end, you can taste the tanginess that it has processed the bacteria.
Interesting.
And it's actually, I think it's a really great, easy way to get into it. If you can't find the right dairy, if you haven't been able to locate inulin or anything like that, all you need is the bacteria and sweet potatoes. You can do it with water. I just like the coconut milk blend.
Yeah, I do too. Get some creaminess in there and some good fat. And yeah, I like that idea. I mean, I'm every now and then I still have some trouble getting the dairy. Sometimes they're just out at Azure. I got it last time. Actually, I got lucky too. One of the local grocery stores. The only thing I ended up using A1 cream. They had a really good, clean cream, but it was A1. I may try that. I tried all the alternatives with like just coconut milk, and I just did not like the texture. So the interesting thing about the sweet potato, you kind of get the texture the way you want it ahead of time, right?
Yeah, do it a little bit more liquid than you want it. And after it processes for the 72 hours and you put it in the fridge, it'll set up just a little bit thicker.
Okay. I may give that a try as another alternative.
In fact, speaking of fat, the last couple batches I made, I blended in a stick of butter with the sweet potato, too.
Oh, there you go.
So,
yeah.
The only thing, I did have a question. I've been doing the super gut blend in the sweet potato, and was putting my jars together. Oh, and that's another thing. Put a fermentation lid on the top of your jar, because once I added the butter in there with the sweet potato and the coconut milk, they tend, if you just cover it with plastic wrap, they tend to bubble over.
Oh, okay.
But if you use a fermentation lid, that's not a problem at all. The gas can escape.
Got it.
So I had my jars separated, and I decided to throw in some capsules of the Terraflora women's probiotic just as an experiment. And I don't know if 106, like the gut blend does, wasn't the right temperature, or if the fact that my sous vide machine kept turning off this last thing. But the two gut blend jars were just fine. And there was some mold on the top of the jar with the Terraflora in there.
Oh, interesting.
So,
yeah, I wonder if it is a temperature thing.
I chucked that one out and got my other sous vide machine out and put the gut blend back in, because I can taste them. They're processing just fine. The other one, based on smell, I wasn't going to taste at all.
Yeah. No bueno there. Yeah, it may just turn out to be that there's a different temperature that bacteria needs.
Right, and that's why I called. I was just curious to if you had any idea how I might find a good temperature for that.
I would start, since we just don't know, I would start, and I would obviously do very small batches till I figured it out, but I would start at 100. That seems to be the lowest temperature that I've seen for any bacteria. And, if it works, then maybe the next time you do it, you try 102. And then you try 104. And 106, you've already ended up with a problem. So I would try somewhere between 100 and 105 and see what happens.
Okay, sounds good. And if anybody's curious to see the process of how I made the sweet potato coconut milk yogurt blend, I did make an article on Healthy Tribes, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think I'm going to give that one a try. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.